there. Hello there, it's James Harrison here, calling from Connective Chiropractic in Basingstoke, and I wanted to do a video specifically to a certain group of people. So if you are a leader in your profession, if you are a CEO or a COO, if you've got a position of responsibility, whether that's at work or even at home if you're a stay-at-home mum, if you're in the military, the army, the RAF, the Navy, if you're a nurse or a doctor, any type of position of responsibility, this video is for you, and I want to describe why you should contemplate coming in to get an initial consultation with a chiropractor, such as at my chiropractic clinic, which is Connective Chiropractic in Basingstoke, but also if you're not local to us, at your local chiropractor too. So the question is really, why should you spend some time, energy, effort and money in looking after yourself? That's the first question. And of course, if you take coaching or if you're investing in your business, you can really only perform as well as you can perform. So ultimately, the advice that we tend to give is to invest in yourself, because if you cannot play your A game if you're not giving yourself the opportunity to do so. Aches and pains, whether you've got back pain, neck pain, headaches, migraines, whatever the issue, are a distraction to you performing at your optimum. And if people are reliant upon you, your health, your well-being, and those people's health and well-being and performance too, are very much go hand in hand with how you are performing. So if you've got a headache, for example, and you're commanding lots of other people, you are not going to be firing 100% of your optimum because of the headache. And guess what? Chiropractic can help you with those headaches or back pains or neck pains and the like. Getting rid of that or helping to manage that can mean that you function much better in the grand scheme of things. And there is a bit of a link in the chain of causation there, or a break in the chain of causation. There are lots of other factors, but it's one factor of many that can let you tune up so you can become more that elite person that you want to be. There is a chiropractor in America who I have heard speak several times on a stage. I'm not going to give their name, but I respect them loads, and they often talk about a shooting that happened in their community. And by this I don't mean like a film shooting, I mean as in a gun going off type shooting. And there was a famous shooting in their area, and he was adjusting a lot of people in their community, and he believes that chiropractic can assist with performance times. And there is a little tiny shred of research to back that up, although it's not necessarily anywhere near as much as some of the musculoskeletal side of things. But there is a little bit, not enough so that we can say from the Advertising Standards Authority perspective that we're really on top of it, but there is a little bit. But he was talking about how getting people to be the top and the sort of top of their game and being at their optimum will help people in terms of how they perform their job. And he was talking about this police officer who was on their duty in this time when this shooter was going around and about. And his story, as he goes through, and he can explain this a lot more accurately than I can and a lot better than I can, was basically the sort of punchline of the story is that the shooter was going along into children's schools and was shooting the children and the teachers. Scary stuff. But the police officer that shot that person and stopped him in his tracks was somebody that he was adjusting. And he said, no matter what the research says, no matter how far you want to stretch the research to make claims, whether they're accurate or not, what if he hadn't have adjusted that police officer? And his reaction times perhaps weren't going to be as great. Perhaps he had a headache and he was just feeling fuzzy. The story goes further. The room upon which he shot the person that was shooting the children contained the chiropractor's own child. And you start to see why this isn't just a game. If you've got these aches and pains, if you've got these things that hold you back, it's time to get on top of them. Because sometimes it's not just going to affect you, it can affect your community, your loved ones, the people around you. And I can't be the person to stand up here to say that chiropractic will improve your reaction times. I'm not here to do that today, although there is, as I said, a little bit of evidence out there that perhaps suggests that it might. Not enough to say for certain. But what if? Because we all know how horrible we feel if we're not feeling at our optimum. We all feel different if we're not feeling 100%, right? So what if it was you that was not firing at your optimum? Perhaps you had this big business deal and your headache stopped you from seeing what was going on in front of you and you missed out on an opportunity because of that. This is why at Connective Chiropractic, we're not just talking about empowering well-being, we're also talking about helping people and transforming lives. The helping people is very much about getting out of the aches and pains. The transforming lives is about freeing you, getting you on top of what it is that you need to do so that you can see the wood for the trees. You can do what you need to do without those aches and pains and the things that are keeping you back from keeping you back. And if you're in a position of responsibility, this is why this video is so important for you, because it's time to make sure that you can tune yourself up so you can tune up everybody else that you are responsible for. It's a bit like if you're on an airplane and you've got those oxygen canisters that come down and they say, put your own mask on before helping others. You do need to make time for yourself in terms of self-care. And self-care is never selfish care when it comes to helping yourself. But it is actually one of the key things on helping others too. If you don't look after yourself, you're not going to do a very good job at helping others. And so it's really important to know how you can look after yourself. So here at Connective Chiropractic, we offer an onboarding session. This is essentially a big bumper session that gives you the opportunity to look into the detail of what's going on and what's giving you those aches and pains or whatever's holding you back. And we take the time with you in our really safe environment. We've make sure everything is wonderfully safe. We're following all the guidelines with the PPE and everything else to make sure that it is the best place for you to get the care that you need. And as part of this session, we go through some of the tests. So we look at orthopedic testing, neurological testing, systemic testing, whatever testing we can do in clinic, we will do to make sure that we know how we can help, if we can help. And if we can't help, we'll refer you on to somebody else. At this session, we will also report back to you what we find, and we'll also give you a treatment should we think that it is necessary in your care. If not, we'll refer you to somebody else. But in this session, your treatment is not just focused on that area. So if you're coming in with a low back issue, for example, but we find things that are going on in other areas, we're going to integrate that. Now, why? Because actually, we're not going to do you the best service if we're just figuring out one area. This is a top-to-toe assessment. And most things in the body are mechanically orientated. And if something's going on with one area and it's affecting another area, we kind of want to address all of that as much as we possibly can when there's a rationale to do so. So you can get going faster. Life's for living. We don't want you to be sitting held back and not functioning at your optimum. So it's time to get going on it. So that's why we do that. And that's definitely our philosophy at Connective Chiropractic. We don't want you to be in aches and pains. We want to actually get you out of them, because pain in itself is a warning signal that something's not going on well in your body. We want to turn that warning signal off, figure out what's going on behind the scenes, and then push you out so you can do what you need to do, and then it's just a question of maintaining it as and when, should you choose to do so. So the key thing really is not to put it off. Now, I've given you a couple of anecdotes in this area. I wanted to also talk to you about cost, because it's really important when you're thinking about looking after yourself and tuning things up to realise the actual cost of care and how that can compare in comparison to the downtime. So there are people who might be watching this video who 20 minutes of their time could be worth thousands of pounds. But a course of care is just not going to cost you thousands of pounds, not at Connective Chiropractic anyway. But let's talk about your workers, the people that you might be leading, and work it at their cost. If you're looking after a team of people, say at minimum wage, the average case of low back issues in terms of downtime is somewhere between 14 to 16 days, depending on which year's statistics you're looking at. But even if you look at 14, even if you look at just 10 days, and you look at that and take that time out in terms of minimum wage, you realise a cost, which often is a lot more than a course of care. It's certainly a lot more than the initial consultation. And if you look at that in terms of down output loss, in terms of how your business or whatever you're doing is changing, or so perhaps because you've not got one person in your business, you can't make X number of deals, there is a whole cost implication of not performing at your optimum. And so from a leadership perspective, getting on top of it and being at your fore actually has a positive. And yes, I know that there are breaks in these chains of causations in here, and this might need to be figured out in a grander scheme from what I'm saying. I'm happy to let you do that. But there are some implications that aren't always as clear-cut as the cost of the actual care itself. So actually there is a case to be made, I will say this much, in making sure your teams or the people that you are helping in your job role to come and get chiropractic care too. That's a decision for you. I'm not going to push you into that. I believe that most people should come and have a consultation at least to find out what's holding them back, if there is anything holding them back. But that's my opinion, and that might not be yours. Whatever your opinion is, I'm happy to back you up on that. Now, one thing that's key for people who are in the military or in the forces often is about this idea of confidentiality, and I wanted to put this out here too. As primary carers, as people who are trained to diagnose and go through this procedure and do the testing and all that jazz that I've talked about, we actually don't need a GP referral. You can come to us on your own accord. And that means we have this specialised privilege, for want of a better expression, where actually we can take a record card from scratch and we don't have to, unless you want us to, consult your medical records. This actually does mean that we can be separate and distinct from them if needs be. And some people find that very useful to know. If, for example, they've got a job promotion and they have to hit a medical, you can actually probably tweak a couple of things with us and improve those chances. And there are people in the military who'd certainly do that and like that shroud of confidentiality. That's okay, just let us know. If there's no problem, we do that. But of course, if you need something for insurance or what the like, we can of course provide those bits of information with your consent too. That's a technicality though, but I hope you've got the gist of this video. What we're saying essentially is if you're leading people and you're not functioning at your optimum, take some time for self-care. If things that you've tried are not working to the nth degree, try chiropractic care. It may assist, and there's a whole host of things that the Advertising Standards Authority can say that we can shout out from the rooftops from. Look on our website, connectivechiropractic.co.uk, for a bit of an abridged list, or look at the ASA website for that matter. That will give you the actual list. But there are things on there that might take you by surprise, including things like the inability to relax. Who'd have thought that a chiropractor could help with that, right? Well, we can, according to the ASA. So it's good to think about chiropractic in a different light. But the key thing that I wanted you to consider on this call was about the costs and the implications of you not firing at your optimum. Whether maybe that is the ability for you to do your job better, or in the example that I gave earlier about the chiropractor's story that from a different country, what if, just what if, a life depended on it? If you're a nurse, if you're a doctor, if you're in the military, it can make the difference by making sure that that cloud of pain and ache and all those warning signals that go on and cloud your senses, if you could stop those, if you could edge them down a little bit, would that change your output? And how much is a changed output worth to you? Those are the questions I'm raising on this video. If this video has raised up any queries or comments, and I'm sure it will have done, feel free to comment below. I'd love to respond back to you. And if you've got any questions or queries, you can email me directly as well at james@connectivechiropractic.co.uk. And if you want to book in for an initial consultation, our onboarding session, just head over to connectivechiropractic.co.uk and you can book in. Simple as that. Take care. Bye.